Hello everyone, it's Jennifer and thank you for joining me today for today's tutorial. We are going to be making some projects using the Treasure Edition Best Bead Box from Potomac Beads. This is for the month of April. I just posted an unboxing of this yesterday or the day before, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock and roll on it. I had it all out for the unboxing and I didn't even put it away. I just started to work on it. And one of the things that popped out at me, well, there were several because there's so much in this box. I will put a link to this box in the description so that you can go back and see everything in its entirety of what was included. A few of the things that were included were these 11-0 Myoki Delicas, and this is in opaque pear. And the first thing I thought of was I saw this gorgeous stone pendant that was included also. The first thing I thought was I am just going to string all that up and have a nice necklace, right? Then I was moving along through the unboxing and these guys popped up and that just screamed at me, right? And there's so many other colors included in this box. It's incredible. It is called Blooming into Spring, and you're looking at these colors and you're going, well, these really aren't spring. Well, these are beachy. These are very beachy. And then there's some other mixes that include some really incredible pops of color. So again, go check out the unboxing so you can see everything and not miss out on anything that's included in this box. So that's where I was going with this. And I grabbed my Potomac Beads. It's all unraveling because I lost the little piece that goes inside. But I grabbed some of my Potomac Beads 7-bead beading cable and from a prior box and was going to make a necklace. And what I was going to do was, and I'll show you what I was going to do. And so you could probably guess that it's not where I'm going, but it's an idea. Was I was going to make a necklace. So this is going to be one side, right? Then I was going to go ahead and just add this and keep on going. Then as I'm doing this and as I'm looking at this, I'm going, that is just a cute anklet or bracelet. I absolutely love this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just make a bracelet out of this. And I'm probably going to remove part of it, maybe one section. I'll probably remove one section and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And then we will figure out what else we can do with the pendant and those beads, because as you can tell, I still have a lot of seed beads left and I still have a lot of those dark topaz. So let's go ahead and put these guys away so that I do not lose them. And I apologize for leaving all of this mess out before even starting, but I wanted you to see where I was going, even though that's not where I'm going to end up, at least with this. So let's go ahead and get these guys out of the way. And I don't want to lose one, so let's do that and put that away for the next project. Something else included in the box was this tape measure. It's a retractable tape measure, and it just is awesome for having out on your mat so that you know how long your projects are. And if you're looking for a certain length, or if you're looking for just an idea of where you're at, this is just awesome to have at your fingertips. Thank you, Potomac Beads, for including another tool in the box. Last month, it was a pair of tweezers. Who doesn't love tweezers? I love tweezers. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and see, and that still looks long to me, big, but if you're going to be stacking it, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a lobster clasp and jump ring on that for for the closure. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I could use some of this elastic cording for this project, but I already have it strung on this wire, and I already have some other ideas that we will make using this cording. And again, you get 5 meters, you get over 16 feet of this stretch cord. And you stretch it out too to prime it. So you're getting more than 16 inches, honestly. All right. So the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and find the end. And I have this ridiculously long tail, and that's only because I was trying to work from the spool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove another section. Remove another section and kind of see where that goes, because I know that my clasp, by the time I get my wire guards on and my clasp, and I'm going to use maybe not a big chunky, I might not use a large chunky. Let's use one of those. I'm not going to use a large chunky one for that. And I know that it's going to add probably another maybe 3/4 of an inch. The first thing I want to do is dump out my goodies. And I have 2x2 tubes, and I also have 2x2 beads. And I usually do not use the beads, but I thought I would try them out today just because I feel like I want to give it a shot. Everything's outside of the box. So let's go ahead and do this here. And I have a wire guard, and I could very easily attach the lobster clasp directly onto the wire guard, onto the bracelet, and bypass a jump ring. I don't like to do that. And here's why I don't like to do that. Because it does go through. Okay, here's why. Because if your lobster clasp malfunctions, then what are you going to do? You got to take the whole thing apart. I don't want to take the whole bracelet apart if all I'm doing is replacing the lobster clasp. So no. All right, so let's get these guys separated. I think they're twisted now. There they go. You want to keep, the problem maybe why I haven't used the beads, but let's give it a shot. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my wires are separated, give it a little bit of a crimp, and go up the top and give it a little bit of a crimp. And, oh, that's pretty cool. Just smaller. I like. All right, so also too, what I like to do is pass them back through the first bead, not for security, but just because then it sits evenly on that, that crimp. And so then I will go ahead and give it a little bit of a trim here and make sure I'm only trimming that one strand. Then let's go ahead and bring this all back up. And why do I like working from the spool? Because I don't like waste. And I feel like I don't waste as much when I work from the spool. Now, is it more time consuming? Sometimes, because if you're trying to figure out what your design's going to look like and you're going back and forth, might not be time efficient for you, but I don't mind it. You know, the jewelry making, it's soothing, right? It's supposed to be. All right, so let's go ahead and string that through the wire guard, through the beading, the bead, crimp bead. Then we're going to go through the crimp bead again, and then just go through that first seed bead. I love these seed beads. They are so pretty. Okay, so what I also like to do, which I failed to mention, is that here's the wire guard, and it's perfect, right? But I like to bring it together, and here's why. A couple reasons why. It gives me a little more room here. But then also too, when you have your clasp or your jump ring or your chain, because you are making an extender, it doesn't slide up and down the wire guard as much. I don't know, it might still, but you never know. That's my way of thinking. All right, so now I want to make sure that I have my wires separated. I want to make sure that that I'm not sitting on top of that seed bead, and give it a crimp. And then I'm going to turn it, rotate it, and give it that secondary crimp. Make sure I'm not on top of that seed bead because I will break it. And there we go. And let's see if I can get it a little bit more closed. Nope. Okay, so then give it the tug test. And if it's not moving, which it's not, then you've done a good job. Now let's go ahead and come in and get as close as we can to the base there. And sometimes you just have to maybe rearrange your beads a little bit so that then it sits inside. And I didn't do that over here. And so just kind of rearrange your beads and wiggle, do a little bit of wiggle, and there you go. These are those 2 crimp tubes that I found during the unboxing. All right, so now let's go ahead. And I always include a little extra because you never know what's going to happen, right? And that is another reason for working from the spool, is that sometimes what will happen is if I don't crimp correctly, or if something happens, and I happen to be on that first end, I don't have that full strand of wire. If I pre-cut it, that gets wasted. So again, that's just my thought. Do I still have waste? Of course I do. Of course I do. Because there's times that I make things and then I decide that as I'm moving along on another project that I want to do something different with that original one, and I will take it apart. I have done that before. All right, so now we have our clasp on that end, and then we'll go ahead and open up. These are really good jump rings, so I don't feel bad about using an open jump ring as the connector for the clasp. I don't feel bad about it at all because these are so good. And here we go. And you can make this longer and have it as an anklet. But there you go. So pretty. I love it. So then we're going to keep these off to the side and use them on another project. Okay, so we have 1 project down and we have, it looks like I have 3 more to go. Okay, so let's get that off to the side and look at those colors. These are, the 4mm crystals and the 3mm dark sapphire crystals. So pretty. And what I did was I went into, I believe this is February, might be February, Best Bead Box. I went in and have still some eye pins. These are 99.9% silver plated 21 gauge premium eye pins. And I don't own eye pins except for these. So that is a treat in itself, getting some of these other types of components included in your box. So what I've done is take a dark sapphire, a crystal, and a dark sapphire, and did a simple loop. Jennifer's doing a simple loop. Yes, Jennifer's doing a simple loop. I normally wire wrap, but this one calls for, I mean, you could do this. You could just do it with wire, but this one pretty much calls for simple loops. And what I'm going to do is, I left 2 for us to do together. And yes, I have tons of jump rings, and I guess I could have already started connecting them off camera, but I didn't because I just got so excited. Do you ever get so excited when you're doing something that you lose your train of thought and you basically lose everything? That's me. And so I'm going to take my eye pin and I'm going to go ahead and thread I think it's easier if I do it like this. Yes. okay, let's hold it. And then I'm going to thread on a crystal, and then let's thread on one of the dark sapphires. So that's what that looks like. Then I like my loops to go in the same direction. As far as this one's going this way, I want this to go this way. And I am going to just put my chain nose pliers down that way. Now, do know these are crystal beads. They will break if you do a little bit too much. So just be very careful and get that bent at the 90 degree. And I've already marked my round nose pliers with what one side should be. And I have one of my hairs fell out. Okay. Then let's go ahead, and I know that they're smaller, so I'm going to go a little bit less than I normally go. And go ahead and start rolling. Oops. And start rolling until I get where I want. Then let's go ahead, and those look a little wonky, so I just want to make sure that they're both going exactly in the same direction, and I just kind of rotate it that way. This one looks like it needs to come in just a little bit. I'm going to open it up just a little and bring that in. There we go. Let's do one more. And so we're going to do dark sapphire. We're going to do the crystal and the dark sapphire. And we're going to go ahead and give it the 90-degree angle bend. And I don't know if I'm going to use all these or not. We will see as we start getting closer, as we start adding our jump rings. And roll, 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 roll. That one ended up being a fairly large loop, but that's okay. See how they're going in the opposite direction? Let's go ahead and get them going in the same direction. There we go. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to start jump ringing. Is that a thing? Jump ringing? Maybe. Maybe. We might have just made it up right now. And the good thing about adding the jump rings, it gives you a little bit more length. It does kind of separate and break out the links a little bit to where you have a little bit of texture. Also, it gives you an opportunity to add some dangles if you want to add dangles. You can add larger jump rings if you like. These are 5mm. So I have 5mm jump rings. And I'm just going to continue linking these together. And as I'm doing that, we are here with Best Bead Box Treasure Edition. It's a subscription, and you can, there's different levels. You can be a month-to-month subscriber. You can also go up as far as being an annual subscriber, where the pricing does go down per month overall, and when the more months you tack onto your subscription. There are several perks to having the subscription. They have 5 golden tickets, and they actually have 10 total. 5 for this treasure edition, but did you know they also have a kit edition? What I'm showing you is the treasure edition that has the beads, that has the different components, and you do what you want with them. And I mean, you can do what you want with the kit edition too, but if you are not into designing and you just want something that you can put together based on someone else's instructions, which I love too, sometimes that's what I do. Whenever I want to do that, I will dive into a kit that I have. The kit edition includes 2 to 3 premium kits, and the kits are not available. Those same kits are not available on their website. So you get exclusive access to exclusive kits. And also too, they have the instructions and what else do we have? Golden tickets. That's right. I was talking about the golden tickets. The golden tickets are 5 golden tickets per subscription. So if you are a Treasure Edition subscriber, there are 5 golden tickets that get put into 5 random boxes. If you are a Kit Edition, there are 5 golden tickets that get put into the box randomly. And so if you subscribe to both, you double your chances, right? So there's tons of other perks, but we are back to our bracelet. Let's see how long it is. I need one more link. So we need another eye pin. We need a couple more of these dark sapphire and another crystal. Now, if you are my friend Maria, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 links is what you want, because that would give you your 5.5. I have a viewer that has a very tiny wrist, and so I do. I'm glad that this happened, because then I can share with her that this is how long she would want hers. And for myself, I am going to add another link. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is what we do, right? We just go ahead and improvise as we go along. I knew that I had, if I'm short on quantity, if I have a very low quantity amount, I will make sure in advance that what I am doing, I will have enough of. And I'm gonna get this a little bit shorter. But with this bead box, they have amazing amount of quality. Or not, yeah, there is quality, but the quantity, they do not shy on the quantity, the number of beads you get. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this put on there. Perfect. All right, so thank you everybody for hanging in there with me while I make that additional link. That is absolutely gorgeous. And again, you can add dangles if you want. I'm not going to touch it. That's going to be it right there. Then I'm going to go ahead and open up this jump ring. And again, these jump rings are so good that I do not feel badly at all using an open jump ring for my closure. I'm perfectly fine with that. And these are quite large. The more I look at them, they are quite large. I need a small one. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a small jump ring here. Again, these jump rings are 5 millimeters. And there we go. And again, if your loops that you made, if you didn't have eye pins and you were making your own eye pins with your wire and you made your loops larger, then of course you would be sizing yours a little differently. But I love this. Oh, let's see if we can, there. And I usually test out my class before I put them on too, just to make sure. There we go. There is bracelet number 2. And there we go. So now we have 2 earrings projects. So let me go ahead and toss those over here. Now we have 2 earrings projects. One of them is going to be very easy. I just took an ear wire from my stash, and then I just stacked up some of those dark sapphires and crystals. And how I did that was one of those eye pins, and I just started stacking. So I took just alternating, just as I did with the bracelet. So I guess this could kind of be a match. And what I could do is, even with the leftovers, make a nice little necklace too. So don't be surprised if I make a necklace as well. Okay, so there we go. This is going to be the top part. So I'm going to go ahead and make my simple loop. And I'm going to go ahead and bend that. I'm going to go ahead and come in a little bit closer than I normally do. And give it, let's try and get, there we go, and get rolled, roll, roll, roll. Okay, so there we go. Let's make sure that it's straight, and it is perfect. Then I have a head pin from my stash that I am going to go ahead and start threading, and I'm using a flat head pin. And this one I think is having a hard time going in. Let's see. Let's see. I might need to grab another one or another head pin. Let's grab another head pin. I don't want to force it, but I know that the head pin's good. It just might be that one is just a little thicker, and it could be the bead too, and I need to just grab another bead. Nope, it was that one head pin. Okay, so let's just go this way, and I didn't toss it. I just put it back in the bag because I will have more beads that have a little bit of a larger hole. And let's go ahead and keep threading. These are so simple. I mean, these are less than 10 minutes. There we go. We're going to go ahead and make another, we're going to go ahead and make another simple loop. So let's go ahead and get that bent, my 90 degrees, give that a little bit of a trim, and then we will start rolling. Just want to make sure that I'm not poking out too far on that end, and start rolling. These head pins are quite tough. There we go. Oops. There. Now we got it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and open it up. Thread this on and close. And I'm going to go ahead and open this guy up. And I can easily open up either this piece, or I can open up my ear wire. I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. And there we go. We have our second earring. Just pretty earrings. Very elegant and easy. Again, I mean, it wouldn't take 10 minutes to put these together. So pretty. And they match our bracelet. Perfect. Now, here's the showstopper. I love these earrings. We have these halo beads, right? And they have one hole through it. So, well, two, but one. It's a one hole, but we have one down here and one down here. And you could very easily add a bead in the middle, and it'd be very pretty. It would be very pretty. And I still have 3 more left, and I'm thinking of doing that with these because I need to make a bracelet that matches this, right? So what I did was I took a head pin and went through the bottom of one, and I added a bead cap and then a pearl, and then did a wrapped loop up at the top. At the bottom, I did the same thing, did a wrap loop. Then I did a dangle with 2 more just sitting on top of a head pin. And then with the extra, the scrap metal that the scraps that I had from the head pins and the eye pins, I made 2 jump rings and did a double up jump ring for those earrings. And you can put this anywhere. You could have it down at the bottom and do it that way if you wish. The only thing was that you would end up with a loop at the bottom, or you would do something. So, I mean, there's so many things you can do with this. All right, so here we go. We have our halo bead or bead frame. Then we also have 4 pearls. So we're gonna have 2 at the bottom. We're gonna have 1 up here and 1 here. We have a bead cap for right here. Oh, there's one of the scraps. And then we have a bead cap for right here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I have 3 flat head pins. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I am going to string on my pearls for that bottom section. And let's string on that pearl. Okay, so then what we're going to do is go ahead and make a wrapped loop. So I don't want a long neck. So where you place your chain nose pliers and make that bend, if I were to make that bend right there, I would be here for days wrapping, because it would be, you know, probably 6 loops, right? Or 6 wraps, because this is what your neck right here, that is what that size is going to be. So these are very sturdy head pins, but I will go just not at the tippy tip, but kind of sort of at the tippy tip. You can see where I'm at. And again, you can do this however you wish. It does depend on the gauge. If I'm using a 22 gauge wire, I go at the very, very tip. Sometimes I don't even use the chain nose pliers to make my bend. So there's my bend. And I'm going to go ahead and come in about so. And my palm is facing me, and the barrel, the round nose pliers are straight up and down. And I'm going to just take that wire and with my finger form it over that top barrel. I'm going to hold this into place, let go a little bit, and rotate my wrist. And now my palm is facing the table. Well, not now, but when I go this way, I just want to show you what it looks like. But now this needs to go out that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just push it to the back. And if you look, that is not centered one bit. All I do is rotate my wrist and just apply pressure. Just hold it there. I don't even really apply pressure. I just kind of am holding it while I'm rotating. And then there we go. You want it to look like a lollipop rather than a P. Or a stop sign, or whatever you wish. And then I always bend it just a little bit just to get it locked in place. You can use your fingers, but like I said, these are pretty strong. And that's why I decided to use them as jump rings, because they are very strong. These are earrings, so it's okay that it's a homemade. I guess it would be okay whether it was a bracelet or not, whether they were homemade jump rings or not. And there we go. There is our wrapped loop. Then I'm going to go ahead and come in with the flush side of my cutters and give that a little bit of a trim. And again, we're saving that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my bent chain nose pliers so that I can hold them and have a good angle and just tuck in that little piece of a tail. And then here is where you could, if you felt like you're a little off-centered, just plug your round nose pliers back in there and just kind of rotate until you get it where you want it. So there's the bottom. Now what we're going to do, and I just recently did this on a live, and it worked out really well, and so that's why I'm doing it here. So what I'm doing is I threaded that through the center of that halo bead, so that now there's nothing. Nothing's going to be inside that halo bead. And then I'm going to thread on my bead cap, and then I'm going to thread on my pearl. Okay. Then I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers, again at the tippy tip, but not the tippy tip, just the tippy tip. And give it that 90-degree angle bend. My palm is facing me. I'm forming this over the top barrel. I'm letting go just slightly, and I'm rotating, and then I'm going to push that to the back, and there we go. Now this is a pretty earring in itself, and I almost stopped there, but then I wanted a little bit of dangle and wanted to show a little bit more just beyond that. So you can stop there very easily. I can go back to my earrings that I already made and just snip off that bottom part, that bottom section, and have that be the earring. And that's gorgeous just in itself. You can add that to an ear wire and you're done easily. Come in with the flush side of my cutters. Want to make sure I'm cutting that and not a bead. And come in with my chain nose pliers. You see how that's sticking out? And I'm going to come in and just with the tip of the chain nose pliers, just tuck it in. And there you go. And that could be the bottom or the top. We don't know yet. So I'm going to take my head pin again and thread it through the hole there and just wiggle it around a little bit. Put my bead cap on there, add my pearl, and there we go. Isn't that pretty? That's just so pretty. Okay, so now let's go ahead and come in at the tippy tip, but not the tippy tip tip, and give it that bend. There we go. We're going to bring our round nose pliers in. Palm is facing me, and I am forming that over there. Let go a little bit, palm down, push to the back, center. There you go. Now, I do have a front and a back. So where my wrap starts, I call that my front, and my back is where I end. So my tail is back there, and that's not what I want to show. I want to show the front. Now this is on there, there's no wiggle. So I want to try and do the same here, and I want it to start in the same, I want the front here to be the front here. Let's lock that into place. And so now, and this is exactly how I want it. So I'm hoping that my neck is not so long that I don't get that really nice and tight. And again, these are, you can break beads. You can break any bead, right? And so even an acrylic bead or anything. And that is moving a little bit, and that's okay. Once I get this cut and trimmed and then tuck in that tail, it will kind of lock in a little bit more. And if it moves, that's fine. I just didn't want it to, but if it does, that's fine. Okay, and it does move a little. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going, and so I'm going to put that down at the bottom then, and I'm going to go just like that. And that's what we have. Well, we have these scraps, and I was like, well, let's go ahead and make some jump rings. So I have my stepper here, and I'm going to try and get a large one. A long one here. I'm going to give it a good flush cut, right? Then I'm going to go ahead and make sure that there's no extra sticking out there. And that's how you know you got it, is when you kind of miss it. There you go. And I'm going to just go overlap a little bit, right? So I'm going to overlap a little bit. And now I'm going to take my flush cutter, and on the opposite side, let's see if we can bring this guy in. So now there's where the start is. And so I want my jump ring to be right there. Oh, let's go a little bit. And make sure you're only cutting that one. And there you go. We have a jump ring. And I have this much of waist rather than that. Kind of cool, huh? I don't do this all the time, but when it's like this in a project, and it just kind of came to me, and I didn't get up and get my jump rings. I didn't have all those jump rings in at my table. Okay, so let's just go around, and I want to overlap. Okay, then I want to come in with my flush cutter and do that. And they're not perfect. Don't get me wrong. They're not perfect, but a wise woman once said, if someone is standing so close to you that they can tell that little tiny bit, they're standing too close to you. And I live by those words all the time when I'm making my jewelry. So let's go ahead and get that put on. Not bad. All right, now let's go ahead and find the slit for here, which is probably about right there. Yep. And open it up. And I use the stepper so that they're at least the same size, rather than using the round nose pliers, because then I know that both of them are the same size and they won't be all wonky. And let's go ahead and do that. And those look good. All right. So let's go ahead and add our ear wire and add it to the front. And there we go. here are earrings. So pretty, huh? Little different. So we made, what, 4 projects. So here we go. We have our bracelet and our earrings using the dark sapphire and crystal bicones. We have this, another bracelet using some of the 11.0 delicas and the 6mm Picasso finish dark topaz. And then we're using the halo beads. We're using the bead caps that were included in the box and the pearls. So please give this video a huge thumbs up if you like it. Do comment. I read what everybody has to say, and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one.